Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to IPM's Friday virtual forum. It's 11 o'clock Eastern Time in the United States, and it's almost been a year. It'll be a year next week from when we started this series in conjunction with IPM's then 46th anniversary, which is on May 10th. And next Friday, we'll be thrilled to be celebrating with all of you, and we hope you will share this as widely as you can. As we come together to honor some of the really remarkable volunteers and project partners within the IPM family, to report a little bit on where we're at organizationally in our ongoing response, IPM response, the hashtag to COVID-19, and our hopes and dreams for the future, particularly the 3 years from our 47th to what we're all really looking forward to, the 50th anniversary celebration in 2024. Today, we're going to hear from a colleague of ours who has done a remarkable job, as all of you have heard at other forums throughout the past year, in really reinventing our Immersion Experience Program. The Immersion Experience Program began in 2002 and 2003 and quickly became IPM's signature activity and, frankly, largest income generating program, as we accompanied over the years more than 3,000 people on immersion experiences to something like 12, maybe a little bit more countries around the world. Many of you who are tuning in on Zoom or Facebook have had the opportunity to travel to those countries with our IPM staff and colleagues, partners, and local friends and volunteers. But with the advent of the pandemic, it became quickly apparent to us, as Vicky and Aneta were trapped in the Dominican Republic on what was supposed to be an immersion there, that we were going to have to transition to a virtual format. So Vicky has spent the past year working incredibly hard with her colleagues and others to develop a comprehensive virtual immersion experience program that we're now able to offer to a number of our traditional countries where we work, places like El Salvador, Kenya, India, etc., but also more, in a sort of an additional level of excitement and really breaking new ground for IPM, thematic virtual immersions that focus on a topic like environmental justice, women, the plight of women and girls, and most recently around the topic of caste, as many of you will have become familiar with that term from the work of Isabel Wilkerson, but as we've heard for years from our South Asian partners and friends, the role that caste plays in India, but the way that it's reflected in racism and tribalism, neo-colonialism, colorism, and alike around the world in virtually every place that IPM has a presence. So we'll be doing a brand new immersion in 8 different countries, focused on caste with John Carroll University, a Jesuit university, a longstanding partner and friend of IPM's in Cleveland. And there are a number of other thematic immersions that we're going to be offering as we move forward, even as many of us begin to travel again, because what we've learned during this period at the Virtual Immersion Experience Program is really appealing to people regardless of income, and particularly around age and ability. It allows folks to be with and learn from our partners, as we've always highlighted, irrespective of their ability to afford to travel internationally or to travel there because of other issues they might have in their own life. So we're thrilled, as you can tell, I hope you can tell from my face, with the work that Vicky has done and the really remarkable ways that, in partnership with all of our international staff and partners, she continues to develop this program. So we're going to take some time, she's going to take some time to walk you through an update of the program, to highlight what are some of the upcoming virtual immersions, to address what might be upcoming in-person immersions later this year and into the coming years, and obviously to open it up for questions and dialogue. So I would invite you to mute yourself at this time if you're on Zoom, and throughout her presentation to chat any comments or questions you have into the chat function on Zoom. And for those of you on Facebook, to type in any questions, comments, concerns you have as well. I'll be monitoring the Facebook feed, and we'll be happy to share those as well as we're able after Vicky's presentation. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to our colleague, Vicki Jiménez, and let her lead us through this Friday virtual forum. Vicki?
Thank you, Joe. Can everyone hear me? Yes? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I appreciate always having IPM's friends join us in the Friday forums. And actually, just this morning, I was thinking about those days in the Dominican Republic that Joe was referring to, and mainly because we are in the last days of April, and it got me thinking about how in the very first weeks of May of last year, we started dreaming, and I would say in a more serious way, of how would this program would look like. And I couldn't believe that in just 1 year we would already have at least 5 immersions already done, and that people would be so interested in them. So as Joe said, I would walk you a little bit through what we have been doing since the last update that I gave all of you, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, was back in September. So you will see things have moved on. Things have I wouldn't say changed, but things have really started to work since our last update. So just a second. Here it is. Okay. So as I was telling you, because, and as Joe was saying, of course, because of the pandemic and because of lockdown, we knew that travel would be unsafe and blocked and not possible, of course. So IPM decided to transform our signature immersion experience program and go virtual. And up to that point, we were wondering how would this program would look like. And it was, I think the idea behind it was that IPM really was determined to keep on supporting our project partners, but also to be that bridge that connects people all over the world. And usually, whenever I tell people to go to the IPM webpage, that it's IPM Connect, I can't think enough of how that little word connect is so perfect for IPM. I think that's part of our I think that's one of our main values, to connect, and I think that's so much of what we are, and that this program brings that connection. So again, just to maybe refresh everyone's mind, if you haven't heard enough of the virtual program, well, to us, the virtual immersion experiences are a different opportunity to learn and connect. And I'm going to go a little back to our signature in-person immersion program, which in itself, it's a different way to learn and connect. As you all know, it's not the regular service trip, but it's very different. You really dive into people's reality. And well, actually, I was just in a meeting with the participants for our upcoming VIEP on CAST last night, and they shared this beautiful quote that said, "Let the communities be your teachers." And I think that is something that we have in our program. We let the people be our teachers, and in somehow we also learn to be our own teachers, because we try to understand what's going on around, what we have read before or what we have understood before, and then we try to create new knowledge and to create new practices from what we learn. And I think this program does that. Of course, the virtual part is adapted for the safety of the participants, of our project partners, and for the rest of IPM friends and speakers as well. And we believe, and so far I can report that, at least in my eyes, and I would say on many of the wonderful friends we have online today that have participated in a VIEP, that it maintains the primary purpose of the in-person immersion, that it's to walk alongside IPM's project partners, international staff, and friends in our work across borders of culture, faith, and circumstance by building justice, peace, and hope with children, women, and youth around the world. So again, a little bit on how does it work. We have both synchronous and asynchronous learning. The synchronous part is, of course, when we get together in Zoom and learn from either our speaker or a project partner or the staff, and we discuss, one of the topics that we have in our itinerary, which I will be showing all of you in a bit. However, the synchronous part is the area in which we provide certain material to all of our participants and that they can watch or see or read or even hear in their separate time, that they can reflect on their separate time. And once we go into our Zoom meetings, they can ask more informed questions or maybe have a bigger or more specific picture of what each speaker or what each project partner or member of the staff is talking about. Approximately, we have created 15 sessions per itinerary or per VIEP, and in some specific cases, we also add pre and post VIEP additional sessions. I will also be sharing a little bit about that in a bit. And as you know, you will be joined by international staff, project partners, and other experts. Okay, so this is since our last update. We've had 5 VIEPs in 3 different countries as of April 2021. These countries have been El Salvador, India, and the Dominican Republic. The approximate number of participants who have been in a VIEP is 48, again, as of April 2021. And over there, you can see a list of either project partners or fellows that have participated in a VIEP. So you can see that it's Acatamo, Acmujersa, Patronato Lidia Coyola, Nutravida, and IDES. For El Salvador, El Cercado Community Development Project, and all of its programs. And over there, you can see it's just one, but it's actually a lot of different programs run by Joanna Peterson in the Dominican Republic. And for India, we have Pochabai Foundation, HUM, and our fellow Alicia Hada. So I will be just briefly sharing a bit of what each VIEP has been about. So I will start with the first one that was our pilot back in September. This one started on September 17th and it went up to November 2020. It was the Christ Crossman United Methodist Church group. It was a group of around 8 people, and most of them were teenagers. It was a 10-week course, and we met for 1 hour a week. So that's what you can see. The VIEP goes very, very long. It was to El Salvador, and the main feature about this one is that it was our very first one. So I would say most of our project partners and part of the staff, including myself, we were a little nervous, but we were very, very happy to have a group, try this virtual model. For the first time. This is a picture where you can see how it kind of works. You can't really see the frenzy, I would say, behind the screen. Behind this picture, there's me and Anita, making sure connection is okay, and that either Adela and Anita, who is here on the left, have everything they need, and you can see that we have some of her participants there. This was a day where not a lot of people could get online. That's why you see so few people. But usually, and well, over here we have some people, but we were not allowed to have them on screen, so that's why you don't see them too. But yeah, usually for some of our meetings with project partners, some of them can be on Zoom. Some of them we have the opportunity at times, it's not always, but specifically I would say in the case of El Salvador, we do have the option to go visit the person and have our session from there. Those are the advantages of living in a very, very, very small country, because I know Mahesh won't let me lie that it's actually more difficult if you're in a country as big as India. Um, but yeah, this is, I would say, what it looks like when we are with a speaker or with an IPM friend or with a project partner, and we are able to move to the place they are and have the conversation with them. Then we had a small VIEP that was in India, and it was with the International Executive Board. That it was on November 2020. The main feature of this one is that, of course, we were joined, like it says, by our International Executive Board and by our CEO, Joe Siston. And I think something that was very, very beautiful and that I would love to highlight about this one is all of my colleagues in India did such a wonderful job, gathering the videos of, over here you can't see it, but of many people dancing, giving the welcome. I know there is a welcome dance that they did that it's so, so beautiful. And I love that they had this symbolic, oh gosh, this symbolic act where part of our friends in India, of a project partner, um, gave and received in the name of the officials or officers of the International Executive Board a little gift that was a scarf. And again, I think that was something just so beautiful because I think again it reflects the spirit of every immersion experience, and it's to give. I'm not, and of course I'm not referring to just give something physical, but to give something from yourself to other people. And I love that they could capture that in a symbolic act. It was very, very moving. The third dip we had was Seaside UCC plus some 5 p.m. friends, and it went from December 3rd to December 6th, 2020. This was actually a weekend course. We just had a pre-session that started on Thursday, but it went on from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It had a changing schedule per day because it was only 3 to 4 days. It was to El Salvador. We were joined, of course, by our CEO. And I would say the very special feature of this one, and that really caught our eye, was that the Saturday that we were all together, and Clint won't let me lie over here, we were around, I don't know, but it was, I think, more than 8, 10 hours on Zoom, with, of course, small breaks in within. And even though, I mean, of course, people could be like, hey, I need a little stretch, or maybe my eyes need a little break. I loved that everyone was so committed and enjoying themselves with the project partners. And on the other hand, I loved that the project partners were also so happy to see everyone. Um, I chose just symbolic pictures, but there are other 2 pictures that I would have loved to have over here. One of them is with the ladies of Acacbamo, that it's kind of similar to this one. And we also have a lot of pictures with the Patronato Lidia Coyola that are similar to this one. And the funny thing was these 2 project partners came into the office, the office here in Latin America, and you could hear the same excitement, the same happiness to be all together when they were both on and off camera. So I thought that was something very, very nice, and it reminded me so much of an in-person immersion as well. Up next, we have the Stonehill College immersion. They went to the Dominican Republic virtually. It went from January 11th to January 13th. This was a 1 week course, and we met for 3 hours per day. What we did for this one is that we met for for an hour and a half, and then we would have a break of around half an hour, and then we would meet for the rest of the sessions again for an hour and a half. Um, the interesting thing about this one, or the feature of this one, is that we added a cultural engagement session, which is actually what you see there on screen. And this was usually because in the Dominican Republic, at least the last day, we have an activity where people share with a youth group, and they kind of teach our participants how to dance bachata or salsa. So we didn't want to lose that, and we think it was very representative. I also know I speak for Aneda because when we were there, she was the cook, not me. So I know she really learned to cook more in the Dominican way than I did. Uh, but I know we both were not feeling, 100% to really do like a cooking class. So we opted for a dance class of salsa and bachata, and in this case, it was me who gave the class as I'm a dancer, and at least I think I learned a little bit about our friends over there, and I have a bit of training on that. And it was a very, very, very fun session. I would say it was a very interesting way to wrap up the entire experience. And something very particular about this group is that um, they remain so interested in each session. And with Dominican Republic, and again, I will be speaking of the challenges in a bit, but with the Dominican Republic, we did face some challenges with Wi-Fi connection or with access to technology from our community partners and friends over there. So we couldn't always have, someone from the Dominican Republic show up on screen. Yet on our final reflection session, I loved that we asked who do they feel most identified with out of the people they've got to meet. And one of them was actually Joanna, which, funny enough, they didn't get to see on screen. Um, but we have talked so much about Joanna, and we had one of Joanna's daughters join us. Um, that they felt they knew Joanna. And in that moment, we felt that our objective was accomplished, and that creating that connection, they felt inspired by Joanna. They felt connected to Joanna. Even though they didn't see her on screen, they didn't get to talk to her. They felt they knew her, and they felt very touched by everything that Joanna does in El Cercado. Then, and this has been our last one, we had Friends of IPM VIEP. These went from February 17th to March 24th of this year. It was a 6-week course, and we met for 2 hours and a half per week. This was a VIEP that was to India. Of course, the feature was that it was joined by our CEO. Um, and I think this was so great and such a success because of the hard work that all of my colleagues in India put in there. What I really loved about this immersion was how each of my colleagues in India would share not just their professional work, not just their social work, but how they intertwine everything and also share part of their personal lives with everyone. And again, to me, that is immersion experience when you really get to share about yourself and create that connection with people. Okay, so these are some of the participants' reflections that we've had. So I'm just going to read them very quickly. So one of them says, the VIEP reinforced how important the work of IPM is and how important it is to be a global citizen, which will be my ongoing commitment, both as a matter of faith and as a matter of good citizenship. The next one says, the immersion trip deepened my understanding of the depth and breadth of violence and suffering that the people of El Salvador have experienced, and how they continue to meet this with hope and perseverance. Next one says, this VIEP destroyed the notion that we face exclusive problems here in America. All nations face race and gender bias, and we should work together as a world to tackle these issues. And the next one says, the VIEP made me realize how deeply embedded these injustices are everywhere in the world, and how we need to work on our mindsets. We can't fix everything by ourselves, but we have to work on making small changes together to make a difference. So those are just some of the reflections that that I wanted to share with you. And now I would also like to talk a little bit about the challenges. As you can imagine, with anything virtual, I think, especially this year, we have all learned that there is always something going on with technology, there is always something that can go wrong. And I think over the course of this year, we have seen all of this happen, and little by little, we are learning how to give a solution to each of these things. But this doesn't mean that there are not still challenges that we are facing in each field. So I would say the first one, and one of the most important ones, it's the Wi-Fi connection of the project partners. Like I was sharing with people from the Dominican Republic, but I would also say the same about people from El Salvador, and I'm sure in the rest of the countries, the same might happen. As you know, sometimes connection is not always the best, and Wi-Fi sometimes decides that it wants to be slow. Some days, I know it has happened to me. My Wi-Fi is running smoothly, and whenever I have the meeting, it decides to, just drop the connection just because. So this is something that we are still having a little challenge with. Of course, we try to come up with different ways to face it. I love that our project partners are so committed in absolutely everything they do that most of them, if not all of them, if I'm not mistaken, usually ask for a rehearsal prior to the meeting, and they send their presentations early as well. So even if their connection drops, you as a presenter know what they are talking about, and because you have the presentation, can tell a little bit about what they are sharing until they can get back on. Um, I would say the other thing is the social distance, or the physical distance, actually, both in office and while visiting your project partners. By this one, I mean when, for example, we have people, we're receiving people in the offices, and sometimes it's a large group, for example, like Patronato Lidia Cordola. There is sometimes, a little bit more of a challenge into gathering so many people, especially because of the pandemic, in a small space. So I would say that's a challenge we have learned how to handle. And again, for example, I know, and this I mean physical distance by, in the specific case of course, as well of India. I know my wonderful colleague Mahesh wouldn't have any trouble, or I mean, it's not that he wouldn't want to go and visit every single project partner, but I know it can be a long distance, and I know it can be hard for him. So that's also a challenge that I know we are facing. The other one, I would say it's technologic devices. Sometimes cameras decide not to work. Sometimes microphones decide not to work. Out of the blue, computers decide to restart themselves. Um, so those are things, and in this case I will say it's not only on the project partners or the IPM staff or IPM friend side, but also with the participants. There is also, a little bit of a challenge in the training of, how to do things virtually. We have sometimes people that don't really, or on the daily basis don't have a lot of access to technology, so we have to be very respectful and very patient of that, and find a way to train them so they can know what to do or how to share the screen or whatever it is that we can do for them. And this is, for example, what I was telling you. I love how I love how our project partners are so committed that they say, well, I really want to have at least one rehearsal so I can know if my camera is going to work, if my microphone is going to work, if the presentation is going to run smoothly. So they want to make sure about all of that. And I say a lot of people train themselves, but they are also asking for that help. Um, and again, the last one would be the usual problems with Zoom. As you know, sometimes there are glitches on Zoom, sometimes buttons on Zoom decide not to work, which I would say it's usual in any Zoom meeting. Yeah, to me, those are the main challenges we face with every immersion. Then I have some core competencies that we believe extend across the program, and this is something that Joe and I and many friends of IPM have discussed within time, and we think this is a very valuable part of our program. Um, but right now, not only would I like to read or talk about those core competencies, but about how we believe, or do I think, or how I observed it translate in a more practical way. So the first one says, the first competency is multicultural collaboration with people from different geographic locations. So the main example of this to me is the Zoom meetings. Uh, you get to have, and for example, I'm looking forward to this CAS VIEP because we will have so many people from all over the world. You will have people from the United States connecting with people from Kenya, Nepal, India, El Salvador, Colombia, and the Dominican Republic. I mean, if that's not multicultural collaboration, I wouldn't know what else is. The next one is to communicate and emphasize with people that have different perspectives. And over there, you see the names Chana and Glory. And these reminded me of these two amazing women. Chana is the agricultural technician for the El Cercado Community Development Project in the Dominican Republic. And Glory Isabel Peterson, who is Joanna Peterson's daughter. And again, I'm going to say I was so surprised they joined us for a couple of hours in the Dominican Republic VIEP. And by the end of the VIEP, when they were no longer with us, I loved that the participants felt so connected with them as well. And they only had them for a couple of hours. And they felt that somehow the struggles that both Chana and Glory were telling them were somehow theirs as well. They found a way to emphasize with what Chana and Glory were saying. The next core competency that we found was to reflect on and take responsibility for personal learning, and this to us is Google Classroom. I think I haven't. Oh no, I think I went through this, but as I was saying earlier, with the asynchronous and asynchronous learning part, the asynchronous learning is, like I said, where we have all of the material that you can see and read on your own time, and this material is in Google Classroom, which I will be sharing with all of you in a bit, just so you can have a quick tour around it and how it looks like for the ones that haven't seen it yet. I'm specifically going to refer to our most recent VIEP in India. I love how my colleague Mahesh handled the Google Classroom. He would give us a tour of the cities we would be visiting virtually, and each week he would give us an update of what we were going to do, of where we were going to go, who were we going to visit. And I loved as well that the participants were very involved. And when Mahesh would ask, okay, so did you see the message that I left you? Most of them would say yes. This is exactly that. They would take responsibility for their personal learning, and then they would go on Zoom and they could know a little bit more or have a bigger picture of what Mahesh was saying and providing in the material. Our next core competency is to analyze and relate socioeconomic and political events with the current reality of people from the visited country. And this I can see you, and this I can see it on our itineraries, which again I will show in a bit. And I would say I would refer specifically to the one country ones. It's not that the global ones don't have it, but I would say there is even a bigger focus on the one country ones on the area of history and present day realities. You really get to see once the VIEP is done how everything is connected, you know, the history, the past, the present day realities, and how that present day reality affects the reality of the project partners and why their work is so important. So you can see how everything is intertwined. And I think that's how we accomplish this competency. And finally, the last one is to create content that is relevant to real world issues. In this case, we have the learning and action packet. This is a small toolkit that IPM provides after the immersion, after the virtual immersion is done, it's actually a website that only you can have access to once your VIEP is done, and that it's permanently updated. I would say permanently under construction, and that can have that has, sorry, some different areas that relate to the VIEP that you just visited. And again, I will be showing a little bit about this in a bit. So I think some of you will recognize this slide. As I was saying, there are two models, the one country and the global model. I will stop sharing the presentation right now because I would also like to show these itineraries that we have. Here they are. Oh, just a second. Okay. So over here, I would like to show the India one first. This was constructed by my wonderful colleague, Mahesh. So over here, you can see this is sort of what, or an example of what a one country model would look like. Usually our very first session, this is common to both the one country model and the global model. We have the first meeting mainly for people to know what IPM is all about and what can they expect of the virtual immersion. Then for one country model, we start going, through a historical review or as a review of the past, as I was saying, which is what you can see on screen over here for the case of India. After that, we go through an analysis of the present, which in this case, as you can see, is casting class in India. We also went to the analysis of the structural roots of Indian poverty and exploitation. And after that, we usually have a small reflection session, and then we start meeting the project partners. And we finish with a final reflection. So again, I would say this is a common structure to any one country VIEP. We have history, then we have present day analysis, and then we have the meetings with our project partners. On the other hand, I think it will be better like this. On the other hand, this is the global itinerary for, and in this specific case is for the caste, colorism, and tribalism VIEP, which is actually the one we will be having in just a couple of days in May. And again, as you see, the first session is a little bit more related to IPM. Our second session for this one is a little bit of, I would say it's for us to explore what the participants know, also to provide a little bit of background on specific key concepts to understand the rest of the immersion. And after that, we go, at least with this phenomenon of caste, we will have, I call this a scan reading of the region. So we'll have a scan reading of these in Latin America and the Caribbean as an entire region. And then we will go by country. For example, we will hear perspectives from El Salvador, and we'll understand how this is from a theoretical or more academic point of view, and then from a more experimental or experimental point of view from our project partners. So, for example, in the case of El Salvador, we would have the Grupo Silotl group. They are part of the Patronato Lidia Coyola, and they will be the ones sharing of what their work is about in relate to how caste, and I'm doing caste because in El Salvador is something a little bit different, but about how colorism and the process of mestizaje, which is what actually we live in El Salvador, is like, and why is the work that they are doing important while facing this phenomena. And again, this is what you will see for every region and every country. After that, we have perspectives from Colombia, and then we will learn with the project partner, which is the Centro de Formación para la Paz in Colombia. The same will happen with the Dominican Republic. Once we're done, we will travel to the region of South Asia, again, have a quick scan of the region, and go specifically, maybe a more theoretical or academical point of view from India, and to understand the phenomenon of caste in India, and then learning from one of our project partners there. And again, this will be the same for Nepal. We will go to sub-Saharan Africa. And learn specifically.
You can hear me now?
We will end with a final reflection session. And this would be mainly it for the...
if we don't increase it, because we've already hit our target.
Okay. Again, I'm going to be showing you the Google Classroom in just a bit, but these are, for example, the Google Classrooms, some of the Google Classrooms that we have prepared. You can see the Salvador VIEP, the Open, the India VIEP, the Dominican Republic one, and the one that we just created, which is the CAST VIEP. In regards to upcoming virtual immersions, we are thinking in developing one in India for September 2021, also one for Kenya from October to November, between the months of October and November. We're also thinking about one to El Salvador between the months, I would say the last days of November and first days of December, kind of similar to the one we had last year. And we are also thinking about one to Italy in January or February of 2022. These are the ones that have dates that are not, I would say they're not 100% established, but the suggested, at least the suggested months that we have. We are also developing the itineraries for Colombia, Nicaragua as one country itineraries of the one country model, sorry. And for the global ones, we are also launching the gender equity and human rights for women and girls, and the migration and refugees global. Finally, I would like to finish with some of the lessons we've learned throughout all these years with working in the Immersion Experience Program. The first one, this is again a picture I love, and I think a picture I always show because to me this is IPM, and it's the power of connection. And it's because to me, what I've seen living, this virtual immersions, it's that people are still interested in learning and in connecting with our project partners and with the staff and with IPM's friends and with almost every, with every speaker we bring. And they share important reflections about these things. It's not, just being there and, okay, I'm going to listen to this because I have to, or because I already paid for it, or for whatever other reason. You can actually see that people are paying attention, especially in the reflection sessions when they start, intertwining not just what they learned, but what they felt during the entire virtual immersion. The next one is that humanity is there, you just have to look. And this is because I believe the session with the project partners are always, always, always a success, even when we have that Wi-Fi. It doesn't always matter that much. People always create that beautiful connection. And this was actually the picture I was telling you about. You can see how many people are from El Patronato over there. I think there were also a little bit more people behind there, but you can't really see them. And this was such a beautiful session. This was actually the Seaside UCC VIEP. Like I said, it was the session with the Patronato, and I just loved how everyone was so interested in what each person and each program from El Patronato had to share. I love to see how in just a little less than an hour and a half, they created that connection and that sense of community, and to me, that's humanity. Okay, our next lesson is that humans will always adapt. And I'm saying this because both participants and project partners have had to adapt in very different ways, but they are always eager to share together. I love to see how people, how each participant sometimes have difficulties, sometimes they are taking care of a new pet, sometimes, they're actually struggling with something, with a problem from their families, or a personal problem, or a health problem, and yet they make sure not to miss the session, even if it's from their phones. They take their iPads, they do anything to hear the session, or to catch up with what we've said in the session. And I would say the same for the project partners. And again, I'm giving the example of Joanna. She was not able to be on Zoom because there are a lot of problems with connections in El Cercado because of how the land is over there. And yet she managed to give us information about herself. We could present her work, and the participants felt connected to her, felt identified with her, and felt inspired by her work. The next one is that the IPM participants are people on the search of knowledge. And I left this picture, which is about Dominican Republic as well. We were discussing the dictatorship of Trujillo, and both my colleagues, Adela and Ada, and I were a little shocked because we did a lot of emphasis in history for this specific VIEP, and the participants, even though, you can get tired sometimes from Zoom, they were really into it. And by the end, what I saw in the reflections was that they did get the importance of understanding all of that history, all of that past, because from that, they understood what was going on now, and why Dominican people were living the struggles that they are living, that were shown in the VIEP. And our next lesson is we always hope to come back, and it's that both in the immersion, in-person immersions, and in the virtual ones, the participants and project partners always expect to see each other again. I have loved that we have seen that sense of community. I think everyone, or almost everyone in IPM, knows I'm a crier, and Adela and Anita can give you a faith of this. I always cry at the end of in-person immersion. And in the end of VIEPs, I almost cry. I have this sense of, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna see them, for a while, or I'm not gonna see them anymore. And it's again that sense, that connection. Finally, I think the biggest lesson is that the primary purpose of the immersions program is accomplished. We just found, a different way to walk in solidarity, by listening and by being interested in the people, in the locals, in whoever you're visiting virtually through our computers. And finally, I'd like to finish this presentation, but sharing these two quotes. The first one says, "It has become appallingly obvious that our technology has exceeded our humanity." And the second one says, "The technology you use impresses no one. Experience you create with is everything." So they're quite contrary, as you can see. I brought the first one because I understand where this person is coming from, but I don't really share it. To me, at first, before we jumped into this adventure of going virtual, I think I would have agreed with that quote. And after a year, of going virtual and with sharing virtual with absolutely everyone, I can say no, that's not true. It depends on how we use technology. And I think the virtual immersions have given us an opportunity to recover our humanity in a different way. I think it has given us that opportunity to know and to feel what the others are feeling, and technology has just been a tool to do that, because right now we cannot do it in person. And the other one, I think, reminds me a lot of what we have done. We have used technology to still be a bridge between the participants and our project partners, between the United States and the rest of the world. So I think that will be mainly it. I don't know if so far anyone has any questions, and if while you have, I would only like to briefly share what I was telling you about the Google Classroom and the Learning in Action packet. So I will keep my mouth closed for now in case anyone has any questions. Just to give you a brief tour of our Google Classrooms.
Please feel free to go ahead and explain that. We're having a couple of issues with the connection, so that would probably be helpful. Thank you so much for the excellent presentation. I may be freezing.
Hi, Vicky. Thank you so much for your presentation, and congratulations for this amazing job you have done. I have seen you working really, really hard on this. And I feel really happy that this is amazing. And you have done a really good job. And also to Mahesh, because he puts his own signature in each in VIEP, and I love to see how great you have done all this. Congratulations, and I'm really happy for you.
Thank you, Anita. And again, I can't stress enough how this to me is everyone in IPM, everyone's baby. Anita is saying the job of Mahesh or mine, but you actually have no idea how much she and Adela as well have worked for the El Salvador and the Dominican Republic VIEPS as well. And you can see that work translated into the sessions and into the Google Classroom. So thank you, Anita.
Hey, Vicky, it's Adela. So I just wanted to congratulate you for the presentation, but beyond that, for your great work and commitment. I know this hasn't been an easy job. I remember when it all started 1 year ago, when you've been in the Dominican Republic, thinking that immersion experiences were gonna change. We wouldn't have the possibility of having in-present immersion experience. And then you came up with all these great ideas, and all the dedication that you have put into this work shows now. So I'm really happy with the result. I'm really proud of you, and you should be also proud of yourself. So congratulations, Vicky. And thank you so much for all your commitment.
Oh, thank you for your kind words, Hillary. You're the best.
Hi, Vicky.
Really one of the founders is.
Oops.
Hello. Well, everyone, I'm also, I think Ilse's having some problems with her connection, I think, right now. But right now, I would also, I'm sharing a little bit of what the Learning in Action packet looks like. This is something we created with Mahesh for the India VIEP. And like I said, this is something you have as an extra feature, I'd say, of the VIEP. And it's just a toolkit that you can use in case you want, to connect with IPM. You want to know a little bit more of what you've learned in the VIEP. You have connections with other groups that are related to the struggles you've learned about. You have sample tweets of Instagram and Facebook posts, data of the country, and a little bit of material on project development, and so far we have developed two, which are the South Asia Learning in Action packet and the Latin America one as well. I don't know, any other questions or suggestions?
Vicki, can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm not sure why my connection is so unstable. Those of you on Zoom who are on Zoom, there's some wonderful comments there in the chat function. Those on Facebook, which frankly I think has not begun to load yet. I've been trying to monitor that. But Carol Finling, as I mentioned earlier, if you heard any of that, with her remarkable background with IPM, was saying it's something she never would have expected 47 years ago, just how much this, call caps THIS, is what IPM is all about. Mahesh is also thanking Vicki and everyone on the team for working collectively. But he's saying, and I certainly would echo this, that your enthusiasm and commitment has been very positively infectious, through the word infectious, though the word infectious sometimes seems incorrect under the current situation or times, which is true. Sony is also commenting on this, as is Clip McCann, our board co-chair with Xenia Chavez in Nindari in Managua, Nicaragua. Yeah, just lots of really positive, wonderful comments. Does anyone have any additional questions for Vicki before we wind down? It's just about noontime.
Not a question, but just a comment that seeing what Vicki did today, having been on the immersion with Mahesh, just having known so many people within IPM, this is a family. It's not an organization. It is not a group of people who just kind of like getting together. It's family. And I think that Vicki, Ilsa, Joe, every single person, I mean, we have gotten so much information from Joanna that I feel that she's a personal friend, personal family. And I think that that is what we really have to get out, is that this is a family.
Amen, Carol. I've asked Ilsa to remind us about next week's program. I'm just afraid that I'll be cut off, and I don't want to make it more difficult for the rest of you. But thank you, Carol. I couldn't say it any better. And as we look forward to our anniversary next week and the 50th anniversary, though my head and beard may show it, it's been a remarkable. It's really been remarkable to see the way that we've been able to respond as a family, as you said, and with shared sacrifice and deep, deep shared personal commitment this past year in the midst of all the trouble and pain in the world. And we certainly want to remember our dear friends and colleagues in India and Nepal, Brazil in particular, and certainly all the other countries around the world where the pandemic is really spiraling out of control right now, and the loss of life and the impact that's having on so many families. But I'll turn it over to Ilsa at this time and trust that you will all keep all those folks in your prayers and thoughts and meditation practices.
Thanks, Joe. Don't sign off yet yourself, because I seem to be having technical problems. I had tried to comment earlier and nothing was coming out, but I just wanted to real quickly thank Vicki again. Everything that was said in the comments, you know, about her enthusiasm, passion, commitment to this work and to this new virtual program is absolutely true. You know, multiple comments, whether it was from Carol or others, about just the opportunity virtually now to be able to connect in ways that previously maybe not everyone could if they could not travel, has been such a gift. And, you know, certainly being in a space together in person is the ultimate experience. But I can honestly say virtually through these forums, I feel like I'm with you all together, regardless of cyberspace or physical distance. So thank you again to Vicki, to all my colleagues, to all of you who support this work in incredible ways. Next week's program, Joe, you probably really are better at describing. I know we're still really confirming if Rodrigo, our international board member from Brazil, Rodrigo, will be joining us. But Joe, maybe you could share a little bit more about Mo. I'm probably gonna not pronounce her name.
No, that's all right. So next week is actually the anniversary.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. Ilse and I have been on Zoom since, you know, almost
Monday.
dawn. Yeah, but so on the 14th, we're working on an incredibly exciting program with our International Executive Board member, Rodrigo Perret, who is a Franciscan brother with the Order of Friars Minor. But he's being joined by a woman, first name Moema, who is really involved in the inter-Franciscan movement. She's a secular Franciscan, a lay woman who's a coordinator of many of the justice and peace and integrity of creation activities, particularly in relation to combating mining. And you may have seen some of the posts we shared from Rodrigo this past week about the agreement that the US government seems to be considering entering into with the far-right dictator in Brazil right now, and real concerns about what that will mean for the Amazon, that he will probably hijack that money for other purposes, like he's done with a lot of the COVID support for his own political ends and not for the benefit of the Brazilian people. So they're going to come join us and speak about that aspect of the current reality, the political climate, or the relationship between the US and Brazil, the potential impact on the Amazon, and particularly the mining disasters that those of you who have been with IPM and followed us online, and Rodrigo in particular, have impacted his community directly with a couple of terrible mining disasters in and around Uberlândia, where he's from. But next week, we will be celebrating our 47th anniversary. We would have been in St. Louis, believe it or not, it was a year ago, as I said at the beginning of this program, that we began the virtual forum series as a way to virtually celebrate what would normally be our annual luncheon and donor recognition event in St. Louis. We're going to have that again this coming week. There will be a number of honorees. I won't share all their names with you, but people from the broader IPM family, people with a deep history and involvement on the board and in other places. And we will be giving the Kathleen Mink Award to our project partner, Watoto Walawanga, in Nairobi, Kenya. So we're looking forward to having Jacinta join us and share a little bit about her work. The board will be meeting from 9 until 10:30 that day, and then the forum will be at 11 o'clock. And as always, it's a very public forum. We share this with a number of people within the IPM family, but we would encourage you to invite anyone and everyone you know to join us next week as we celebrate IPM's 47th anniversary. So with that being said, we'll look forward to seeing you all then. Best wishes for May Day for those of you who are organizing and commemorating that event around the world and through the important work you do. Again, please keep all of our partners and staff and friends in the countries most deeply impacted by COVID right now in your thoughts and prayers. A couple of special intentions for folks even on the IPM staff and within the immediate IPM family who are recovering at this time, but it's not my place to share who they are publicly. And may the peace that passes all understanding be with you the rest of this day and in the coming weekend. Thank you everyone for joining us. And thank you, Vicki, again for all you do. And
thanks again, Vicki. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Vicki.